Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our voice webinar today. We're super excited. We're teamed up with Intermedia today. We've got Dean Putnam from High Point Networks, who most of you know. And we also have Eli Navarro from Intermedia. We're super excited for the lineup today. We're hoping to give you a lot of good information that you can use within your organization. And I think we're just going to kind of run through the agenda here. Eli will be kicking things off, and then we'll turn it over to Dean, and then we'll have like a live Q&A and do a little bit of a product demo today. So we're super excited, and I won't waste any more of your time. I will let the experts get started here. So with that, Eli, I will let you get started.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brandy. And thank you all for being here today. I know to jump on another virtual lunch and learn, a training is not always easy to do, and carving out that time is not always as easy, right? So thanks so much. Really, seriously, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. What I wanted to do before we jump into today's chat, because I will introduce this a little bit further, is I just wanted to go through some webinar tool hygiene. So as you look at your screen, you might see at the very top center of your screen three icons. One is going to be an emojis icon, and I would encourage you to drop an emoji, share an emoji, however you see fit, as we go through today's chat. Beside that is going to be the question mark icon. So do please ask questions throughout the presentation. We'll kind of come to them towards the end and try and hit them all as they have come in. And then finally, beside that is an audio, what looks like a little phone handset, right? That phone handset's going to allow you to change your audio settings from computer to phone or call in if you're having any issues. All right, so we got the hygiene out of the way. Definitely want to interact with you as much as we can. As you see in front of you, today's agenda, we're going to cover customer expectations, how the marketplace has changed a bit, and more importantly, what are the demands that our customer base are making on our businesses, and most importantly, are we meeting our customers where they are at based on that demand set? We'll talk about the internal dynamic versus the external customer dynamic in terms of what both groups need. So your employees versus your end customers. We'll talk a little bit about the optimal customer experience and what that criteria is. I'm going to hand it over to Dean at this point, and Dean's going to take us through how Elevate delivers on what the market is demanding. And then ultimately, our goal today is to put enough in front of you where you feel compelled to ask us to take you through a product demo, a tailored approach to the product for your business specifically, with a business analysis, so that we can make sure it's the right fit and it's going to really help serve your business. And more importantly, bring you into the future, or the modern office communication platform, which, let's face it, you got to have the right tools if you're going to meet the needs of both your internal folks and, of course, that of our customers. So without further ado, I'll jump straight into it. All right. So as Brandy mentioned, we're teaming up today. I'm from Intermedia. Of course, High Point Networks is a preferred strategic partner of ours. And so there's nothing we wouldn't do to help High Point Networks. And so for those of us that don't know who Intermedia is, just very quick, Intermedia is one of the larger players in both the unified communication and contact center verticals. One of the bigger players that you rarely hear of. The reason you rarely hear our name and see our logo, besides some of the maybe more recognizable ones here, is because most of Intermedia's business is done through our strategic partners like High Point. So we're busy helping to build High Point and the brand for High Point in your market. So that's why you rarely see Intermedia's brand out there. We are what we call a partner first company. All right, so now that you know who we are, let's talk about our key subject today, and that really is keeping your customers from jumping ship. All right, and so what you're going to see is kind of a collection of assets that you may have seen at some point in the High Point Network campaign atmosphere, maybe not. Either way, I want to highlight some of the more poignant metrics around the customer's experience and why it's so critical for us to meet this demand, right? Because we don't want to get left behind, and we want to make sure that our customers are getting an optimal customer experience, because the market is fickle. and the demand set has never been more rigorous, and those demands have never been higher. So let's talk a little bit about the hazards we see businesses making as it relates to customer experience. And so let's jump into this Deloitte study that really helped give us some good data to sink our teeth into. But first, before I get into the first one, I want to set a poll out here for you all. You see the poll jumping up there on your screen. I'd love to know, how long are your customers waiting on hold? Do you know? Is it longer than a minute or is it less than a minute? I'd love for you to submit your vote here and give us a feel for your customer base. So it looks like most people believe that their customers are waiting on hold less than a minute. I see some additional responses coming in. Okay, so more or less, it's looking like our customers are waiting on hold for less than a minute. All right, and so that's a pretty that's a pretty big deal, right? Why is it a big deal? Well, because in this Deloitte study, we learned that customers will not wait on hold longer than 1 minute. All right. And so there is a little bit of a caveat to that. Customers won't wait on hold for longer than 1 minute unless they're told how long those wait times are, right? Or if they have other options. More to come on that in a second. So if our customers are waiting on hold for longer than a minute and there's no prompting for how long that wait time is, what's happening, and we see this in the data, is that customer hangs up on you and calls a competitor, at least most of the time. And so we want to make sure that we are shortening the hold time as much as possible. So thank you for your input there. Really, really appreciate that. We have another one for you. So let's jump on to our next poll question, and then we'll jump into the content. So how do your customers connect with your business today? Right? Are they only calling you? Can they chat your company? Can they send a text message to your company's main number? Really, really curious to see. All right, so look, getting some early responses in. Looks like a lot of folks are able to do many of these things. It's also looking, though, that the majority of the group, or at least half of the room here, things are moving real time, are limited to phone. All right, so this is pretty common in terms of what we see, right? Some businesses have enabled the communication methods that customers demand. Others have not yet, and that's okay, right? Because, well, that's why we're here today. So let's talk about the value of multiple communication channels. Again, back to our Deloitte study, 87% of customers won't answer an unsolicited phone call, and they've actually opted for alternative methods of communication, right? So what might one of those methods be? Well, text is a super compelling and easy flip of a switch for your business's main number. So you might mark it, call or text our main number. And by the way, 90% of customers, regardless of age, prefer text as a primary communication method for both reaching out to a business and also receiving information from a business. So if you're not text enabled today, that could be done with relative ease, and you will immediately start adding value to your customers and to your business. All right. So multiple communication channels is the name of the game, not because we think and feel that's the way it should be, but because the market is demanding and driving the need for it. All right. So more to come on that in just a moment. I want to take you through just a couple of other ones. 69% of consumers said, or customers said, that they're willing to interact with a bot, an AI bot, for simple tasks. So I want you to think about your people's capacity today, the employees in your business and their overall capacity. Can we get more from each individual employee of ours if we offload some of the more menial, non-human required tasks, right? Can we offload that to an auto attendant, an artificial intelligent bot, right? Can we drive customers to our website so they can self-serve? Well, a large portion of the market believes, look, I don't need to talk to a human for everything. In fact, some of the engagement with the business, I'm happy to do on my own in a self-service manner. All right. So again, to the customer, it's self-service. It's another way that they like to feel in control of their experience to your business. But this also has ancillary benefits for the business, right? Because, well, we can get more out of our current employees. So if you're dealing with challenges around salary expense management, retaining good employees and getting the most out of them, then for sure the rest of this conversation is for you. All right. I kind of laugh at this next one, and I hope you will too. But 67% of customers feel trapped when they can't reach a customer service representative. So if you're like me, you're probably screaming, representative on the phone when you feel locked in auto attendant jail, right? And so we don't want our customers feeling locked in auto attendant jail and screaming representative. In fact, we want to see if we can answer that call as fast as possible. In fact, we see a lot of trends, especially in legal and some of the finance segments. They're trending toward live answer reception to be contrarian in the market, and then putting that caller into maybe an auto attendant from there, maybe an artificial intelligence, interactive voice response tool from there. But either way, the choice is, of course, yours. We do, though, want to get those calls answered as fast as possible. We don't want to make our customers too upset. Now, look, I chose to include this one because I feel like this is the biggest layup to our business today in terms of meeting the market's demand. And so this one comes from Finances Online, but it says that 43% of customers proactively tried to text the business's main number. 33% of those inquiries went completely unanswered. So the real question is, as it relates to texting the business, we call that company messaging as well. The question is, how much money are we willing to leave on the table when it comes to the company messaging, right? And so it's easy new revenue to realize. Again, if those customers text your business and they go unanswered, they're probably texting the competitor who is text enabled for their main number. And so that's, of course, a functionality we want to discuss further today and talk about what that would look like in your environment. And then finally, the personalization piece, right? Is your current tool today that you're using for customer engagement, is it serving up information to whoever's answering the phone at the business? Is it serving up relevant information respective to that caller, right? Are they a high, medium, low value customer? When's the last time they spent money? How much money? What product did they use? Any other notable information that I should have at hand when I answer the call, right? So even from the initial salutation, are we giving a personalized experience? Because 77% of consumers said they would avoid a brand that lacks that personalization. So what does that mean, really? Are you greeting customers by their first name when they call, as a super simple example, right? Are we giving finer details of previous interactions we've had with them that are relevant and meaningful to that conversation, right? So that's a little bit of a case by case, but the big takeaway is we need our customers to feel like they're having a personalized experience, because psychologically they feel known and welcome. And feeling known and welcome is one of 5 key elements that we must touch on as a business as it relates to the customer's demand for getting in touch with that business and interacting with that business, right? Again, the market is driving the conversation here around the functionalities that we need. So when we think about those expectations in the market, because listen, I thought over the last 3 or so years throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, my assumption was that the market would become more graceful and gracious around right, customer experience. They might be more understanding, right? That was my assumption, but I was dead wrong. In fact, it's the opposite. The market is more fickle than ever before. And again, the demand set is higher than ever and more rigorous than ever before. So what we're seeing in the data is, businesses are struggling with limited employee headcount. I travel all over the country for my job, and every time I land at a hotel, I see short staff in the restaurant, short staff in housekeeping, short staff at the front desk. The same is true, really, in a number of other related industries, let's say hospitality as the vertical. So it's fair to say that beyond my anecdotal story, right, in the data, many businesses are struggling with limited employee headcount. A lot of employees quit their job. I think half or so or less stayed in the same industry. So there's been a lot of moving around. We heard terms like the great migration, the great resignation, right? So people moving about as hybrid and remote work became more prevalent. People just quitting their jobs because they were unhappy to find something different, right? So that's impacting your business because, well, you may not have even known that employee wasn't happy, right? Inflation is another major one. Never mind what's happening to us on our personal level, groceries and the rest of it, right? Electric costs and all of it. What about the impact to your business? Is inflation hurting you there? Of course, it's a little on the nose. The answer is yes. Most businesses in the SMB and mid market are dealing with challenges around inflation, right? Hurting maybe your operational cash flow, let's say. So things are having to be moved and shift, and maybe we're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, right? And then finally, economic uncertainty in general has people kind of bound by the purse, right? They're not opening the purse as they were to spend, and there's some pretty grim forecasts for upcoming holiday spending, for instance. So with that, we have some options as leaders of our businesses, right? We could raise our prices, which I know most of us are probably doing on somewhat of a routine basis. Maybe it's every couple of years, every 2 years, every year. So that's one way. We can streamline our processes, right? Look for efficiencies, look for gaps in process, and figure out ways that we can streamline that or gain efficiencies, like right utilizing our employees better. Let's say we could reassess the whole lay of the land and make some pretty sweeping changes. Most businesses we work with are a little less open to broad, huge sweeping changes. The good news with Elevate, right, from High Point is that it's easy to implement. This is not a big lift, and there's minimal downtime with minimal disruption, which is huge too. Finally, we can diversify, right? So we can diversify our product set. We can try to cater to our market better through the product offering, or we can think about the customers we already have and enhancing their experience with our business so that we can get more from the loyal customers we're already retaining. And that's really more or less the conversation we want to have today. I'll before I hand it over to Dean, I'll give you an interesting anecdote. I was working with a partner who had spent a significant amount of money on marketing to new customers. And what he realized at the end of the $100,000 spend after several months was, man, if I had only taken that money and repurposed it to invest in my existing customers and their experience, that would have been a far better bet for my business. And I would have realized the return on that investment far more quickly, right? And so that is really the conversation we want to continue having today. And that really comes down to, do you have the right technology set? Before I hand it over to Dean, though, let's jump into our next and final poll question. So is your company faced with any of the issues that I just covered? Employee retention, inflation, economic uncertainty, or none of the above? If it's all of the above, choose the one that's the most pervasive to your business. So I got some coming in now. Employee retention for sure is a big one. We have others dripping in now. So looks like employee retention is really more or less the one that's the standout here. Some of you said none of the above, but most of you are leaning toward economic uncertainty and employee retention. Okay, so some of this is resonating with most of you, which is good. That's really the goal here, because we want to make sure that this conversation makes sense for you. So I promised I would hand it to Dean, but I'm being dishonest. I have one more for you. I won't go through all of these, but if you're not yet sold on the value of customer experience, right? Meaning, am I delivering what my customers are demanding in the market? Here's some other compelling metrics that might encourage you. So we see in the data that the businesses that actually focus on improving the end customer experience are seeing revenue increases 10 to 15%, while also lowering cost, right? Because the hidden cost is inefficiency within your employee group. And so we want to make sure we can pick up some cost savings through efficiencies. The probability of an existing customer buying a new product, 60 to 70% more likely if you're using an existing customer. So again, when you're thinking about spend and investment for your business, this is an area where you want to double down for sure, because if you compare that to the cost of new customer acquisition, quite a bit higher, as you can see there. And then, probably one of the more poignant pieces of this is that customers are willing to pay more for great service. So you can definitely get the ROI that you're hoping for if you're delivering the right experience to customers, because again, customers are conditioned to paying more for a better experience. So that should encourage all of us. And I would for sure just emphasize the true value around the customer's experience. And so if you think about it as two groups, businesses really serve two masters, two customer groups: internal employees and then external, proper end customers. Of course, there's vendors in there as well, but these are the two core customer groups, at least the way that we see it. And so if we double click into the customer experience, I told you there's 5 key areas of competency that businesses have to display to their markets. So on the employee productivity side, that's the internal needs. These are your employees. So I'll leave that alone for a second. Instead, the customer experience, the businesses that deliver this 5-point criteria to their customer base are the ones that are leading in their industry, in their respective vertical. So quick access to assistance, not just getting to the right department, but getting to the most skilled, qualified resource in that department specific to my inquiry, by the way, in under 1 minute, right? Choice to engage however, wherever you want. A lot of people believe that young people only are the ones driving the need for additional communication channels for business. It was a belief that it was a millennial problem. But since everybody has had a taste of the hybrid work environment and some of the tools that are required to do that properly, the demand actually spans straight on down from baby boomers to Gen Y. So as a high level note, baby boomers gravitate towards phone. Gen X is phone, email hybrid. Millennials are a hybrid of email and chat, and Gen Z, Gen Y are a hybrid of, or almost exclusively chat, I should say. So choice to engage however you want speaks to the full customer base, regardless of age. And by the way, every one of those people in that group find value in the convenience of communicating with businesses beyond the phone. All right. Next, personalized experience. We talked a little bit about this. We want to feel known and welcome. To the point above that, choice, right? We want to feel in control. So it's not just the young folks that are the control freaks. Turns out we're all control freaks. Convenience across interactions, right? How many times have you called a business, explain yourself, already frustrated, then you get transferred and have to re-explain yourself. Super, super frustrating. So we want to have convenience across interactions. And then finally, great customer service. How are we coaching and maintaining a great quality assurance or customer service with our internal teams? How are we making sure that every agent is our best agent, right? That's really the goal here. That can be done using the Elevate system. So look, what both of these groups need is reliability and security, and for sure, Elevate checks the box. So we really want to dial into the customer experience piece here. When you deploy Elevate from Highpoint Networks in your environment, you almost immediately start delivering on that 5-point criteria. All right. And so as a zoom out look, right, the Elevate platform really is 5 communication tools in one platform. These represent all the core primary ways that you communicate with your customers today. So in the system, we have 5 distinct capabilities, right? From our phone system, our customer engagement management piece, the video conferencing and screen share, team chat for internal chatting, SMS for external text messaging to your clients, let's say, from your work number, and then file collaboration as part of the standard Pro license here, right? We can integrate with many of the applications you're currently using today and want to continue using. So that's good news. Some of the better news here, even still, is that you can pair up to 5 devices with your account. Every user gets a dedicated business number that they can, in most cases, port over. They'll also have a dedicated extension. And then once they are spun up, right, we can move live calls across all of our 5 different devices. So maybe it's a tablet, a mobile phone, a desktop, computer, a physical desk phone in your home and your proper office, right? So you get the idea. You can work however you want to work. And that's a big deal. So we're going to be building on this offering today by really double clicking on the customer experience piece. All right. Before I let you go, Dean, just know that everything you just saw there is kind of enveloped in what we call Elevate Archiving. And this is a phenomenal tool that every business should consider. Some businesses don't have the choice. They have to because they're in compliant industries like healthcare, finance, and legal, and insurance, let's say. So the short story here is this will lay over the platform we're talking about today and allow you to search, legal hold, kind of aggregate some of the data around all your voice, chat, and SMS information. So I figured I'd add that because this is a really easy, obvious add-on to the Elevate platform. What Dean's going to do right now, though, is take you through some of the more critical pieces that you're probably thinking about, right? Hey, how does this look in my environment? What can I count on from Highpoint as it relates to this product? So Dean, take us away on this. I'll jump off camera and I'll give you the stage for a while.
Appreciate it, Elijah. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. What a novel idea that we're talking about delivering a better customer experience by using our own collaboration tools. How many decades have we been running phone systems and really not focused on that? And today it's so self-evident. COVID kind of pushed us along to that, but it also changed the landscape of who the providers are out there selling phone system. Most of your hardware providers are gone. They just don't exist anymore, from Intertel to Panasonic and Toshiba. And most of you are probably being faced with the prospect of needing to swap out your phone system. And at Highpoint, we would rather you look at that as a transition, that we're engaged with you and we're trying to help you to get to that step. So my portion here, I really want to talk to those business decision makers today, the folks that are handling the paycheck and also looking at how this is going to impact their customer experience, and the IT folks, the folks that need to support and maintain it. We're going to get yelled at when you start moving people's cheese, so to speak, and changing that telephone out that they've used for years and years and years and have become accustomed to, but also hopefully offloading a lot of the stress and pain of maintaining what you have today. So let's go back to the basics and let's start with 3 things: reliability, security, and usability. So starting with reliable, intermediate, as Elijah said, there's 7,700 Highpoints out there, if you will, that resell this product. I'm proud to say that we're one of their larger vendors and that I get to sit on their partner advisory council and help direct feature functions and where the product gets to go. So that might be a nice little boon for you as well. These are in private data centers. Yes, I'm moving out of your back room and out to the cloud. So it is really important to us as your service provider that you are comfortable with this being rock solid and secure. So from a reliability standpoint, Intermedia offers to us, and we offer to you, a 5 nines uptime. There's disparate data centers that run this in Washington State and in Virginia. So we're on either end of the country in the event that some event happens or something like that would cause one of the data centers to go down. There's also the benefit that when new updates are available and upgrades are available, that those are done kind of in spite of us and you, and don't take you offline in order to get some of those new features and functions. If your internet goes down, what happens? Well, we're going to talk about any device, anywhere, anytime. So calls just inherently have a backup in that they'll ring over to, I'm holding my hand up, but your mobile device or your tablet or your home PC, et cetera, wherever you're working from. So it's got some contingency built into that, but we'd want to also explore any contingencies that you want from, making sure that in a totally unpowered situation, we've got you covered, or if it's just an internet, whether looking for multiple internet providers or going to a cellular 4G, 5G failover, or just making sure that what you need or what your level of reliability is that you want, that we're meeting and exceeding. Any of the data that traverses the network, voice, recordings, chat, text, etc., whether at rest or in motion, is all encrypted. And we're usually going to exceed almost any regulatory constraint out there, whether it's HIPAA or PCI. If you're international and you have GDPR on you, if you're just self-managed, if you're schools, if you're whatever, we should meet or exceed it. Again, we're going to want to spend as much time with you to make sure that you're comfortable that the system and the platform itself is secure before we turn it on for you. So that kind of covers the reliability and the security. Again, if you guys have questions, either post them in the chat or wait towards the end here and we'll make sure that we take them from you. But I want to get back to that. How big of a transition really is this? Well, let's go back to the desktop appliance itself. Yes, we're going to offer you a ton of features like soft phones and mobile devices, etc. But how does it pertain to what I'm doing with most of my users today? Well, from a basic voice standpoint, we're going to provide telephones that allow you to have programmable buttons, soft keys to let people transfer and conference. They still have fixed feature keys to be able to mute and go to speakerphone and redial and check their voicemail. We're not taking that ability away, even though we're moving to a fancier system. When we get to the more executive style phones, we include Wi-Fi connectivity. So if I'm working at home, I don't have to sit in my dank, dark basement to connect to my cable modem. I can sit upstairs in the dining room where I have Wi-Fi and connect it. They have Bluetooth to accommodate headsets or little conference speakers if you've got a little side table in your office, or you want to use it in a small conference room without a big investment on a conference unit. Or your front desk person still has a sidecar and wants to have all of those buttons. I can still provide DSS or busy lamp buttons, meaning that when I press that button or I go off hook, I know that this other person is either on their phone or not. So I still can provide that traditional functionality that you get out of your premise-based phone system. But we do offer for the folks that don't want a desk phone anymore. And let's agree that our younger workforce coming in doesn't necessarily expect to have a desk phone. They either want to use their AirPods or they want you to provide them with a headset. And whether you're in this and also using Teams or another video collaboration solution, which I'll cover Teams here in a little bit, I do want the ability, if I'm using an online indicator light, to be able to let them know that I'm busy, I'm engaged, whether I'm on the phone or I'm on that collaboration tool, regardless of what it is, but that they're only using one device. They don't have to switch one headset and move to another because they jumped on a different platform. We really want to bring that solution to you, and HighPoint's going to work with you to bring that to fruition. Remember that I'm moving everything out of your back room. There's no servers, there's no hardware in the back room anymore. So we're also going to visit with you about becoming your telephone service provider and porting all your numbers over so you continue to use your same numbers, but now you don't have to pay for that T1 or all those POTS lines from your telephone company anymore. And we're going to provide you unlimited calling, US, Canada, and Puerto Rico. So there goes all your long distance charge there too. Every user on the network is going to have a direct or dial telephone number. So now I can call direct to your desk without having to go through the front desk. In addition to that, I want to make sure that the pieces of hardware that were ancillary or accessories on your premise-based system, we're still accommodating. I can still do conference units. I can still do Wi-Fi phones. I can still run cordless phones. I can run long-range wireless phones. If you have analog devices, whether it's an elevator phone or you still need to keep an old computer modem on the network without having to leave a POTS line behind, I can accommodate that. We can also accommodate faxing, whether you want to keep it separate, whether you want to run it through this system, or we can even talk to you about an entirely new electronic faxing solution. Any of the phones can hang on the wall if that's part of your needs. And we can obviously accommodate paging for those of you running schools. this paging unit can also serve as a bell system for you, a schedule system for you. For those of you in corporate business, this can be a warning tone generator for weather events or hopefully not happen, but emergency events and things like that. So we've kind of covered the gamut to try and make this as easy of a transition from where you're at today to move on to a totally feature-rich and highly functional system, but still keep that traditional functionality for those that aren't quite ready yet to join the new world, if you will. As Elijah mentioned, again, there's a lot of things this can do, and what we don't want to do is overwhelm you with it, but the basic facts are that it's going to provide your voice communication. We'll also have the ability to get that kind of queued customer experience without having to go to a full contact center. If we're just bringing calls in, we want them to get to a group of folks. We want some analytics around it. We want some real-time reporting around it. We want a supervisor that may be able to monitor it. We'll be able to do that on a base system before we jump up to a contact center. Video conferencing and screen share, along with instant messaging, you might choose that I want to leave that with Teams. We've been doing that a while. We're going to leave it there. Or maybe you don't have a preferred vendor. Know that it's built in here. But if you're a company or an organization that's already moved to Teams, we can fully integrate with it in one of two ways. Number one, we can run alongside of it. So it's a separate app that you would do your calling out of, and the ability to do SMS text messaging from your desktop using that business DID without ever giving your personal cell phone away, and the ability to have web fax. Or we can move this entirely inside of Microsoft Teams and let you use that skin, even though it's our phone system on the back end that it's actually engaging and calling. You might ask the question, well, Dean, if I'm doing that, why don't I just use Teams? Love an opportunity to sit down and talk with you, give you our experiences, some of the shortcomings that Team isn't quite ready for prime time yet, if you will, as far as its phone system, depending on your needs, and show you the wisdom and the benefits of having ours kind of back in that system, if you will. We talk about SMS text messaging. It's amazing today how many people don't want to talk to you on the phone and they'd rather communicate with you contextually. Well, if you're a hospital and you're setting up schedules and things, wouldn't it be a dynamic offering to be able to do that without having to buy another application or go outside of the phone system that you're already running? And for that matter, I can even do it with that group that we talked about before, where I can send text into a queued group and everybody gets it. Somebody replies, everybody gets it, and it sends it out again. Obviously, if we move up into a contact center situation, we have a lot more functionality that goes with that. And then file collaboration. Again, if you're running Teams, you're probably using OneDrive, but wouldn't it be great to have a secure place on the web that I could post things to either share internally with a working group or to share with my customers securely and encrypted out there in the web space without having to build an FTP server or try and use my email security or something like that to code or make that offering. It's very simple to use and intuitive. If we never showed you, you'd be able to do it. So I really wanted to make sure that you know that the system's reliable, that you know it's secure, and that you know from a base standpoint, it's going to do mostly what your existing PBX is, or maybe more than what your PBX does today, but we can keep that traditional functionality. But I also wanted to talk about how HighPoint Networks can impact this. So when we went looking for a cloud solution to sell, most of them were agent-based. In other words, we'd resell it, and if you had an issue, you'd go to them. And if you didn't like the support they were giving you, you'd inevitably call us back because we sold it to you, and be quite frustrated with it. And that is not the way that we want to do business. We want to control the maintenance and support of this. We actually sell it to you as a managed service offering, meaning that, as we call it, it's a smart service. So all of our service and support is included, and it's really a methodology that we take from install all the way through to post-install, meaning that we're going to sit with you and make sure that we clearly understand how you want this phone system to work, how you want to attain that customer experience, and also giving you best practices and things that we've learned from our myriad of customers out there too to assist you along with that. We hope and believe that that's really valuable. In the past, we'd sell a phone system and say, here's what it does, and you had to adapt and acclimate to it. Now, we simply go and say, well, how do you want this? It's wholly configurable and customizable. We're also going to test your network, even your remote users, if you will, to ensure that we've got the kind of internet that we need to make sure that we have good connectivity. And then the project management piece, that taking what you want, putting it into place, making sure that that we're deploying it correctly, testing things and the such. Along the way, we're going to provide training for you as admins, and we're going to provide training to your end users. So we're not just handing it to you. And I would contend that if we did, you folks would have no trouble figuring it out and using it. We're not going to play that game. No, we're going to make sure that we train you up front and that we're there with you as we go through this. So that's an inherent feature of this as well. And then, as I mentioned, that fully managed or smart service that we offer, meaning there's no surprise or hidden fees. You're paying your monthly subscription to get the service, and it includes our input, including all maintenance and support. So if we put the system in and you have a call flow that is the same Monday through Friday, but takes a little different tack from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., or maybe you're open on Saturday mornings, you have a little different route, and we set it up, and 3 weeks in, you decide, we don't like that, let's change it. We're there with you. There's no charge. There's no just open a ticket, or if you want it done right away, pick up the phone and call us. It's all built in. We will give you as much control as you want to be able to maintain the system and do moves, adds, and changes. Just know that we'll do all that for you if you want, and let's get that offloaded. But you're going to need to get into that admin portal to view your call recordings, to look at your call reporting, and those are the things that are going to come along with training. So we're going to be with you step by step by step. Now, with the folks of you that are on the call, we have a wide range of folks from different markets, certainly from schools. You can look at this as really a dynamic way for your teachers to interface with parents and students, or we can kind of dumb it down and price it down if it's just a make and take system. It really depends on how dynamic you want to get to. I mentioned healthcare, but also from any group that does scheduling or takes appointments or has regular meetings and things. This is amazingly feature rich to be able to help you control not only getting your folks' calls answered and not sitting and waiting on hold, as Elijah said, but also making sure that that they're receiving and getting to the right people that are going to take care of it, set it up, schedule it, etc. So what haven't I shared with you? Well, there's a lot more out there. We mentioned call recording. It's built into the system. Elijah mentioned the archiving. So we can even take that out farther if you want, or you have some kind of regulatory constraint or compliance that you need to reach, that you need to keep that for a longer period of time. We can also keep all your chats, all your SMS, all your call recording, all your call reporting history, all of that kind of bundled into one really unique and very dynamic, engageable system that helps you to easily reach back and find what you're looking for from a cataloging standpoint. I mentioned web fax. I should probably say desktop faxing. If you need to keep fax machines behind, let's talk about it. If you're ready to get rid of them, we might be able to accommodate it in the solution, possibly at no additional charge. Or again, we can take you off to a full electronic faxing solution. We mentioned SMS and the dynamic nature of it. That's something I'd love to demonstrate for you, and also give you the option of being able to play with it and use it, and kind of a proof of concept if you'd like. All of this call queuing and all this, don't forget we do have a full-blown contact center that's extremely enterprise grade. Whether you're a small company or large, it's just going to turn on all your feature functionality, allowing email, chat, SMS, etc., full analytics, IVR, you name it. But built into this base is a really dynamic work group, ring group scenario that's going to give you full reporting, supervisor real-time view, and the ability for them to monitor agents while they're on it. We talked through Teams integration, and this is where we really want to make sure that we understand what your business plan is so that we can custom tailor it to you specifically. And the last thing you hear it way too often when folks are talking about new products to you is ease of management. Well, we've kind of taken the management away altogether, and it's built in at no charge to you. But we still think that you're going to find this is really easy. For those of you that are carrying the load on making sure everything in your network's secure and also making sure that that phone system stays online, because that dial tone is a God-given right. I better have a phone every day. That's a lot of pressure on you. Let us work with you, help to offload some of that, make sure that you trust it and believe in it and you see the quality and reliability of it. So what we really want to do is get in front of you, show you this live, be able to let you touch and feel it, experience it, and learn a lot more about it one-on-one as we kind of help you see how we can apply this in your corporate setting. So we're anxious to book a demo with you. You can do it any of a number of ways. Number one, if you know your HighPoint Networks account executive, please get a hold of them right away and get that booked. Or you can send an email either to sales@highpointnetworks.com or marketing@highpointnetworks.com. If you're in a hurry because we've got some money to give away here, I would recommend the marketing one if you want to be first in line. In fact, they may all be taken up before we finish our demo here. So I'm going to introduce and hand it over to Shay Koppelman, who is a marketing genius from Intermedia. She's going to talk to you a little bit more about the goodies that we have coming. And I'll be back if you have questions. Shay?
Thank you, Dean. Yes, so hey everybody, Shay Koppelman. I'm so excited to be here and thank y'all for hanging out with us today. So as Dean mentioned, we do have a very special and exclusive offer for just you guys for attending today. So as he mentioned, demos, that's the next step. We really hope that you heard something today that you can take back and you think it will really enhance and apply it to your business. So we want to talk to you about it. So let's schedule a demo. So we've got a first 5 to book a demo with Dean, and how he mentioned how you can get in touch with us is through sales@highpointnetworks.com or marketing@highpointnetworks.com. $50 is at stake, and plus the solution that's going to take away the headaches and really help with employee productivity and deliver customer satisfaction. So we're really looking forward to taking that next step with you guys. So with that, let's jump into Q&A. So if you have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A box at the top, and I will invite Dean and Eli back on so that we can run through the questions that we've gotten so far. Okay, so the first question is for archiving. So you mentioned that archiving is a part of the solution. So can you tell us a little bit more about it and what the length of time packages are offered for data retention?
Eli, I think you're muted.
I swear I do this for a living. Sorry about that.
You're double muted, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to elevator archiving, Dean, I was just saying that I'll lead it off and then definitely feel free to add to it. So when we think about archiving, the retention periods are 1, 3, 7, and 10 years. And depending on your industry, right? If you're in a compliant, highly regulated industry, we kind of section off healthcare, insurance, finance or legal, excuse me. So those are the more regulated industries, as we know, and so there are compliance regulation requirements there. 7 and 10 years is the traditional audit-proof retention period, right? If you're not in one of those industries, we expand that to 1 year and 3 year as well. So again, 1, 3, 7, 10, that's how the plans are built out.
Okay, great.
Right on. I'll just piggyback on that. Know that, some of the inherent features like call recording, they're built in. We really want to talk to you if we need to extend that or you need a larger repository space. That's what the archiving is really built for. To be able to have that plus your SMS, your chat, and everything in one place so that you can easily, from a administrator standpoint, like you would in your old traditional system where you could go in and pull emails or you could go in and pull it. Now, even though this is in the cloud and it's user-centric, we're still given that in that archiving solution to give that administrative capability to look back through things.
Yeah, right on. And I guess just to add a little more, because somebody asked about that, there are some really neat added features like legal hold and other audit-specific type actions that you can do there. But the way to think about this, like, I'm laughing because my iPhone cloud storage I'm always exceeding it. So I'm constantly having to upgrade my package. And so I think about when you implement a system like this in your environment and you have your entire company sending chats to each other, sending SMSs outside of the organization, the phone traffic and data, this becomes a massive pile of data very quickly. And it becomes nearly impossible to sort and sift through that information, which you usually only do when you need to. And so this definitely helps to make that when you need to, super simple, super easy. Keyword search, aggregate data by like information. So super valuable for any business, and of course, especially those that are in those highly compliant industries. That's all I'll add to that.
Great. Thank you guys so much for answering that question. Next question. So we did get a question around pricing. So we will directly reach out to you and we can have a conversation on what that could look like based on the package that you're referencing. So we'll take that one offline. The next question that we have is around contact center. So it looks like they are wanting to understand, what does implementation look like for a solution that would include contact center into in conjunction with Voice 360?
Right on. Yeah, I can just say that, so there's two ways we can do it. Number one, we do have a contact center that can run over the top of an existing phone system if that's your intention, but it gets extremely dynamic when we layer it on top of this telephony product that we're talking with you about today, the Elevate. You'll hear us at High Point call that Voice 360. But there's any of a number of reasons why you would move to the contact center. I mentioned some of it before. Contact center is an animal. It's a monster, I probably should say. But it is its own animal in that it requires a whole different set of engagement, a higher and more intense level of working together, both with your vendor, the manufacturer, and you, and what your wants and needs are. And it's very difficult with other platforms where you kind of buy it, they glean a little bit, they set it up, and then they kind of walk away from it, and it becomes your challenge to try and get them to re-engage. Remember that we're in this with you all along, so even if we set it up and there's changes, which inevitably there will be, or there's additions, maybe you start today and you don't turn on the IVR, 6 months in you decide you want to put that in, not a problem. You're already under contract. Let's re-engage. Let's get it done. That's where the dynamic nature of it is. Yes, we're going to want you to see the features and functions available with it. Yes, we're going to want you to be able to vet out that it is a quality cloud-based or contact center as a service offering for you, and it's going to take care of your needs from dynamic notifications, kind of that Amazon experience, all to just the basic contact center capabilities. We want you to be able to see it, but know that now you've got a partner that's going to be dug in with you because you're paying for it as a subscription. We can't get away from you. And that's how that deployment would really end up being.
Okay, great. Looks like we have another question. So is Voice 360 capable of exporting from a Cisco Unified Communications Manager system, or is this a build from the ground up?
Great question. So not specifically made for any one model to be able to export to it. Generally, we're going to work with you in our project management and development of the system through the discovery phase to glean, irrespective of what you're already doing on your existing system. We really want to know how you want this new system to work. So we're going to treat the discovery like we're starting from scratch. However, we do have the ability to kind of reach back and look at maybe some of your call flows, or to be able to extract out, depending on the format we can get it in, to import users, extensions, different things like that into the system. There's no direct migration specifically from Cisco or Mitel, NEC, Avaya, or anything, but in a lot of cases we can do it just through the open standards. You will be, hopefully, you will be amazed at the ease of transition from an old system onto this, and the turn up time, which is going to be usually a days or week to be able to do versus weeks and months that you're used to with a lot of banging your head against the door. You will be amazed at this. And if you guys want, we'll provide references for you so that you can talk to other folks that have migrated onto the system. High Point Networks migrated a month ago onto the system. We've been doing it for quite a while, and now we've finally done it. I'm amazed at how easy that went internally here. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. All right, that looks like it wraps our live Q&A. So I will hand it back to Dean and Elijah to close us out.
Right on. Bubba, we'll get back to you in regards to the pricing question. Again, really encourage you, if you'd like, we'd love to have an opportunity to visit with you, not a sales pitch, just a consultation to be able to let you see the system, experience what it can do for you, have a conversation with you about your customer experience, and see how we can impact that. Elijah?
Yeah, well, look, let me be the second to say thank you so much for your time. As Dean mentioned, yeah, we want to get a good analysis for your business. We want to make sure that this is the right fit, right? So this is not a hard sell thing. It's a really, does it fit or does it not? And it's checking all the boxes. We appreciate your time today. It's been wonderful spending time with you. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time today. And with that, I'll give it to Brandy for our closing remarks.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your time. Both Dean and Eli, you guys did a fantastic job. And everyone who joined us today, we appreciate your time. I do want to mention that the call has been recorded. So if there are others within your organization you feel like would benefit from this webinar, we certainly will get that information out to you. We'll most likely post it on our YouTube channel as well. But again, thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks, Eli and Dean. And we hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week.
Thanks
Bye,
very
everyone.
much. Take care.
See ya.